Hello, how's it going? Just wanting to do a video about a topic that has come out recently. It's a little old now, but something I still want to talk about. It was the releasing of the Michaels and the Meng trade that they did. I have some thoughts on that. It's the influence of an aggressor, I guess. Because think on this: is that it was simultaneous, in in sequence, in coordinated coordinated trade. I don't know why that I don't get past that with a, you know, like it's no big deal. I don't know. It just stands out to me to be in. It's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of well, maybe not a lot of preparation, but it just seems like there's a lot of effort there. Is all I'm getting at, and I'm of course happy, but at the exact same time, that was it's being caught into something that you didn't even see coming, or maybe they did, and if they did, shame on everyone involved. But isn't it that we didn't see this type of reaction happening? Maybe I'm wrong. But having to deal with that level of intensity, not going to say hostility, but intensity, they're not connected, but will trade. Hostage trade, as they were saying on the news. And then how can it not be? The simultaneousness seems like trading of hostages. So we are in a Cold War, and that was a prisoner exchange. Then you mark the character of the jailer, don't you? What did we do? 5-star service in a compound. What do they do? I'm guessing a cell. I'm guessing very minimal humane treatment, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know the details. So, why are we talking about it? Why do I want to talk about it? I got some things here. Is that you got the Middle East investing in businesses and infrastructure. China's doing this all over the world. They're focusing as much as they can in the Middle East and in Africa, areas where there's not a lot of competition. There's a lot of markets they've already broken into all over the world. Like Canada has we have our, the housing crisis, the real estate bubble. It's like they've been busy bees, if you will. I just feel, when's that Napoleon complex, that world conquer complex gonna go away? Are we gonna outlive it? I guess that's why I want to talk about that, is that if you're not allies, it's a straight up competitor, if not an enemy. I thought with world stretching communication, I thought with unlimited access to information, I thought that would really change the world. And it has. Why are we still trying to conquer the world? That's such a bizarre thing to do. Doesn't make any sense anymore. Why don't we just let the person that wants to do it the hardest do it, and then put up our hands and go, all right, you inherited the world. Now what? Now you got to take care of everything. And you start exterminating people, then you're not a world conqueror at all, because those regions will flare back up. Riots and revolutions will break out everywhere. Then you're not in control at all. It's such a ridiculous concept to conquer the world now. You want to inherit every burden of every region, and if it's a burden you don't want, you think you're just going to wipe it out. That's not going to happen. Why isn't there an American flag flying in Afghanistan right now? So they might not be deploying a military all over the world, but they are getting their money into investments and businesses all over the place, also controlling the flow of business that comes in. It's like they've taken the Silk Road onto themselves by having such a high population. Oh, you want me to let your company into my country because you'd make a pretty penny. So what are you going to do for me? See, this is why they're I guess, bargaining position is always on a elevated level, because they can live without you, and they have no problem doing it. So that's a thought. That's one of my thoughts anyway. You got Huiwei and the two Michaels. What did this do for our relations? Well, how many friends do you have that when you both have something you want to look at, that you would trade it simultaneously at gunpoint? You put it in my left hand, I'll put it in your right, and we'll trade at the same time. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah, so that's the mark. That's the measure of their resolve. That's the level in which they want to operate. Now, I'm talking from a position where the Americans and the Canadians probably need to figure out what their position is before they start acting on stuff like that. But then, what do you do when you catch someone with their hand in the jar? If this was any other country that was caught doing that, you would have found out very quickly how Canada and America deal with people getting caught spying. But because this was a country that can stand on their own, that's why it resolved the way that it did. So what does that do for the relationship of China for the rest of the world? And what does that make Canada look like? Well, a lot of ways you can look at it, but it tends to get schoolyard really quick. So we got punked. That sucks. But what does that do for the relationship of China with the rest of the world? They'll punk you. They'll hold your nationals. They will blow up your real estate. They'll bottom out your mom and pop stores. Probably leave them alone. But then they're looking at their eastern border with India, so you leave them alone. Well, historically speaking, that's kind of dangerous. China's got a lot of history about trying to push that border, but so do a lot of histories. So what's new? So the relationship is that they can do business, but if you don't stay on track, they don't play. But then again, what country does? You knock down a couple towers and you're not a superpower, what happens to your country? Well, they occupy your land for 20 years. That's what happens. That's the measure of their resolve, the Americans. And they'll run out like in a stupor, leaving a mess, forgetting about a lot of key details. So what does this do for relation? There is none. This just showed that if you're not a part of the group, then you're not a part of the group. You got the Commonwealth group with the Western allies, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, not as us them, but left on their own. That's what it is. Left on their own, like abandoned. Never fully embraced and integrated. Now they got China and Russia breathing down their necks with terrorism running through their country from time to time. That's rough. So there is no real relation unless you're talking about the time, the friends that last the passage of time, traditional allies that go back, and then kind of grandfathered in other countries because of allies you have. That's why I say like stuff like the Commonwealth. There's so many countries a part of it when you go look it up. Yeah, I think it was like over 60. Maybe more, probably more. But yeah, it's a fair amount. So the relations, I feel, have been really revealing. We got left holding the bag with no one that really wanted to pull the trigger on what they demand us do. And it turned into a standoff. If they're unrelated, then why release them? I'm glad they're released. To be honest, I didn't think they were going to be released. I was saying that to somebody. I said, you watch, we'll give up Meng, and they won't do anything about the Michaels. You know, that would make me mad and sad. Because that sucks. But releasing them shows some level of wanting to get along, to go along. There's like many nuances of this story, so it's hard to have like a quick snap opinion. This is why I'm just kind of expanding upon these these items of the main story, because you need the whole thing to let it breathe to really have a walkaway thought about it, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. That's what I'm sharing. You know, they have a company that's failing, and because that's tied to the economy so much, the failing of it could be, a ripple effect throughout the world. It's pretty heavy. As a kid growing up in the 80s, we kept getting told by our grandparents and our great grandparents, you don't know what tough is. We went through the Depression. Then you'd watch movies and read books about the Depression. Boiling boots, eating belts. It's pretty rough. You got that guy, that rich dad, poor dad. He's predicting a economic recession this month. And I think they'll probably throw a band-aid on it, which means it's going to pop later. Pushing it off for another day. So you got China, the way they run their business and the way their government is involved, and they've been disappearing billionaires just like Russia does. They disappear people that end up being a little bit too powerful. So what's this going to end up turning out to be in the future with future business, with things like the Olympics? This is what I mean. There's so many different angles to look at this. It's a very sophisticated in its complications, because you can't come at this with a simplistic solution or resolution for any damages done. It's not going to work. It's going to be accusatory. Historically speaking, accusing people doesn't go well. There's this book I read called Wizard's Rule, and there's this, I can't get this the way I want it, but there's a Wizard's Rule. There's this rule that wizards go by, but these rules are very universal. They're meant for people. And this one is the aggressor makes the rules. So who is the aggressor in this? Well, both had to be. Not China by themselves. No. Both were. Because both wanted to set the rules. There's two dogs barking at each other. One doing it to hold ground, and one doing it because that's what they do when you step up. So you have a company that if they fail, how bad will it get? There's already a pandemic going. You throw on a company that fails, and a government that staggers, and an economy that ripples. You've had a second ship bottleneck in the canal again just recently. Puts another hold on delivery. You got people getting canceled randomly. That affects business. Elon Musk smoked a joint on Joe Rogan's podcast, and the company dipped. So with random people being canceled, I'm like, if you're guilty, you're guilty. But point is that a ripple is still a ripple. You still gotta respect that. So what do you do when you're dealing with a country that's puffing their chest but failing in their own backyard and can pull everyone into a tailspin? That's why I bring up that company. This is going to impede trade, access to resources. And you think it was weird getting into Afghanistan and Iraq for so long for so many different reasons, then you're going to get really confused when the impact of all this delay and then lines being drawn with who won't deal with who. You're going to start seeing some weird reasons that countries are starting to get occupied for a plethora of reasons. It's going to be interesting. You're going to have to ask yourself in a sober set of mind with no biases, what is going on? You know, you got China having such a like white knuckle, tight clenched, you know, grip on their nation. Is this the time to be like Ali and lay on the ropes? You know, put your guard up and let them punch themselves out and let these companies fail. Let the people in their own nation, you know, get fed up enough to start a whole new form of government, vote someone in, whatever it is. Should we do that? Then you have to ask yourself are you going to watch someone drown? That's not easy. Do you create enough of a difference by not being involved and focus on yourself? So let's say instead of having global intervention that we currently have in the West, we're being left behind in technology in some areas with Eastern countries. Not in everything, just some things, and I say it's concerning. So why don't we stop the world intervention, put all that money into development and research, and try to catch up to some countries and surpass the others, and be the shining example. It's like in an airplane. When I've said it before, when the air masks come down, you got to take care of yourself first if you're going to be a hero and help anyone else. There's not enough oxygen up there. If there's a breach, you're going to need that oxygen if you want to help anyone. So that's a metaphor for get out of every place that we shouldn't be. Quit throwing money around and put it all towards the most energy efficient way to power your country, the most least hostile to the environment mode of transportation. You start honing that razor's edge on those aspects of your culture and having the highest education available, even to the lowest income areas. You start doing this, you start creating more entrepreneurs that will create. They'll enrich the economy. So many business creators, so many job creators. You have so much. It's putting enriched fertilizer to your own nation. If you malnourish them and treat them like criminals or potential criminals that have the right to vote, well, then you're not going to be head and shoulders above anyone. You got to fertilize your people with opportunity and the ability to grow by having a environment that is that's focusing on that. You have a government that's focusing on the environment, on the people, and how you cohabitate with both. This will be so much job creation because you'd have so many things going on. People in the energy sector, people in the habitat, environmental sector, education. You do a complete umbrella with medicine,
mental health, body, all in one, teeth, eyes, all on one umbrella, because you'll have more people wanting to do something with their life. It's not that it's pointless or hopeless now, it's just the climb is monumental. You gotta climb so hard just to get your start. But if the start was there, then the sky's the limit. So, this to me revealed a lot. Where my mind went when this story unfolded went all over the place. They currently own the biggest piece of the pie for cryptocurrency is China, but they just banned it in their country. So that means they're using it as international, not domestic. Because they don't want random people to pop up with billions and trillions of dollars that they don't control. That's why I mentioned those billionaires that are disappearing. You got celebrities that disappear, some to run away and hide, and some that the government tells them to disappear for a while, go on a vacation, stay out of the media. So that's how they're conducting cryptocurrency. It's not a domestic, but it is international because they own a big piece of the pie. So that's another thing to consider about this. They also have a government program where they do not want weak men. I heard about this. This may be rumor, but they want masculine men. Again, with that controlled society, they have a credit. Remember that episode on Community, that app? There was also another episode similar to that on Black Mirror. Yeah, well, life copying art or art copying life. What came first? Point is that they have it. It's a government mandated app to have on your phone. Can't have certain online, you know, they don't have Google, they don't have Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, but they control what you're allowed to expose yourself to. And they have chosen how they're going to interact with cryptocurrency quite clearly. That involves, why I bring that up, that involves their economy and how they conduct their economy. They are so intertwined globally. So it's like we're in the elevator with them. So to me, that's unsettling. You gotta, if that program I heard about is correct, to me, it's that level of control. Whatever you're trying so hard to avoid, I think you exacerbate. So I think they're gonna get more of what they don't want in spite. So it's counterintuitive. That's why I bring it up. If it's a nothing, propaganda story, well, okay then. But if it's real, it's counterintuitive. They lifted their child ban recently. China did. They used to have one, and then it got bumped up a while back to 2, then they bumped it up to 3. But I think they're even saying not 3 minimum, but you can have beyond. So I don't know where that lands. Maybe in certain regions you can have up to 3, in other regions you can have more. I don't know what that translates to, but I've heard conflicting information on it, that it's 3, and then I heard that it's unlimited. So no, you know what I mean, no cap is what I meant to say. So that's interesting. You put that with the masculine program. Are they gearing up? Are they planning? But that could be scary, right? But here's another thing to consider: the majority of their population is over 65. This could be a correction in a population plunge. Population numbers can plunge if the majority of your population is a certain age group. So, and from what I hear, it's a large number. So when that age category ages out, if there's no influx in the population, you're going to drop. So that's something else to consider with that whole masculine program and the child ban lift. See, I say there's so much to the story on why they behave the way they behave internationally that needs to be considered. The mark of their diplomacy, the level on which their investments and businesses affect everyone else internationally. If one of their companies fails, what it does for international economy. Having their relationship with cryptocurrency. They play by their own rules, but what country doesn't? So let's not put them in a us them, we do it better than them. They do it differently, but we're not clean either. Don't ever get into that whole Western virtue. I like this one podcast with Dan Carlin, and it's a famous quote of an American politician, I think. And he says, "Let us not forget that America was not made by gentlemen," or something like to that effect. But basically saying, like, it was soldiers that made that country. Idealistic political soldiers. And that's not an insult. Most human history is made by that combination, if not all. You know, you can have your bloodlines, but now we're talking semantics. Because a lot of those bloodlines, were militant. But anyway, all this gets me to think is they don't have a lot of friends, globally speaking. So we're failing them, in my mind. Not allow them to walk all over us, but find a way to be more friendly. That's my solution. There's the concern, though, is places like Tibet and Taiwan and their border along India. There's also another concern, being friendly, pursuing friendship while they're looking at those regions and wanting to fold them over. So do we ask ourselves what's worth the friendship? Stand by and watch them do it? Maybe throw up some sanctions for some guarantees to help control the occupation. They're going to get really mad because the West has been in the Middle East for so long and we didn't let anyone else tell us what to do when we're in there. So that'd be pretty hypocritical now, wouldn't it? So what do we do for this friendship? What's worth the friendship? What's our country have for a plan? What's the government got in their mind on how they want to proceed forward? It's complicated. That's what this video is about. Sorry that I don't have, cute in music, bum bum bum. But this all needs to be thought about before a quick opinion is formed. That's why this video. So if you made it this long, thank you. Jeez Louise. I'm horrible. Forgive me. But then I haven't even really scratched the surface either. So like this could be a 4-hour video talking about all the nuances. But it's important to know these nuances. It's important to know before you form an opinion, because then you're just forming an opinion with less information. And when that happens, emotion occupies that place. And emotions aren't rational. They're not logical. Emotions aren't fair. They're not. They're reactive. But they're like another field of awareness. Never discount your emotions. If you hear something and it angers you, explore that. Fear, explore that. But anyway, I'll leave it on that. And thank you for stopping by. I hope I changed your opinion on it or reduced it. I don't know. I'm just glad you listened. Thank you. See you later.